What's up, everyone? Welcome to the entertainment channel where I talk about everything sports from a Chicago sports fan perspective, keeping it real, but still keeping it knowledgeable, giving you that sports talk that you hear regularly, just talking with the boys, talking with your friends. So if you haven't already done so, hit a like button, drop a comment, hit subscribe. We're helping build that Ant Farm up little by little. But today, man, we got to talk about the Cubbies. Cubbies clinched a playoff spot for the first time since 2020, so going to be getting into that, some potential playoff matchups for the wild card for the division series. You still never know. We're not too far behind the Brewers. I'm going to talk about some latest injury updates for the Chicago Cubs. So what's going on with Kyle Tucker? What's going on with Daniel Palencia? And then also going into something that happened today in Cubs history. Today's September 17, 2025. So talking Cubs clinching a playoff spot, first time since 2020. Latest injury updates for the Cubbies. What's going on with Tucker? What's going on with Palencia? And then also what happened today in Chicago Cubs history. And you're definitely going to want to hear the fact that happened today because it's pretty historical, pretty crazy, and involves one of, if not the best Cub in Chicago Cubs history. But without any further ado, let's get right into it, y'all. So let's not wait any longer, guys. We gotta put up the cheer meter right here, okay? Cubbies back in the playoffs. First time since 2020. First time we're back in the playoffs since COVID was out. COVID running rampant through the streets. So Cubbies today, they clinched their first postseason berth since 2020, guys. 5 years ago. Crazy to think it's been that long. But they had an 8-4 win today over the Pittsburgh Pirates. We could see the box score right here. Cubbies went up quick, man. 4-0 right off the rip. And this game started at like 11:35 a.m. Central Standard Time today. My boy Matt, shout out to Matty V, let me know that Pittsburgh and the Cubbies are actually the only two teams in all of Major League Baseball that actually have these really early series-ending getaway games to pretty much give you the away team a chance to get out of the city a little bit early, travel to the next place they're going to. But Cubbies stuck around a little bit after. They clinched that playoff spot, celebrating in the locker room, going crazy, got the goggles out, and you got to celebrate. I was thinking about it earlier, like, man, celebrating just making it to the postseason. Then you think about how long the baseball season is, 162 games. They've been out there since May. I was thinking back to the Tokyo series the Cubs were in this year when they started the season in Tokyo against the Dodgers. So you definitely got to celebrate making the postseason. First time in 5 years, and the team looks completely different. I think the only two guys that were still on the team were Nico Horner and Ian Happ. So completely different roster, completely different kind of this organization besides the owners. But Cubbies got out there today, 8-4 win. They started off 4-0. Pittsburgh tied it 4-3. Pittsburgh actually got back into it, then tied in the second inning, 4-4. But in the sixth inning, Cubbies were able to get a couple different runs going. Bush sacrifice fly, Swanson scored. Happ single to center, Shaw scored. Turner single to Turner. I keep doing that. I don't know why. Turner single to right. Horner scored. So Cubbies end up winning 8-4. Clutch hitting all around. Michael Bush had an RBI. Ian Happ with 3 RBIs. Ballesteros, got to give him a big shout out. Dude has been going crazy since he came up. He had another RBI. Turner with 2 RBIs. So really the top of the lineup producing today. A little bit different of a lineup than we've seen most of the season. Bush was at the top. Horner, then Happ, then Ballesteros, then Suzuki, PCA, Swanson, McGuire. And finally starting to see the Cubs offense come a little bit alive. Maybe not everyone we're used to in the beginning of the year. Suzuki, Tucker, PCA. But PCA slowly coming around right now. But Ian Happ, man, he homered. He drove in 3 runs. Cubbies won their 4th straight for their 7th victory in 8 games. Happ, the Pittsburgh native, actually from Pittsburgh. So you know it had to feel good. And he actually caught the last out of the game as well. But he's played 9 years with the Cubbies. And he was a rookie in 2017 when we won the NL Central, the year after we won the World Series. So Happ's been around now for 9 years, longest tenured Cubby, I believe, with us right now. And it feels like he was there for the World Series, but he obviously wasn't. So Ian Happ, big W for him, back in the playoffs. I'm sure it feels good now, and it has to be a little bit different. Before, he was kind of that young guy. He was the veterans were Rizzo, Baez, Ross Ross already retired by then. You got Bryant, Rizzo, Jason Hayward, Ben Zobrist, all types of guys. And now it's kind of the opposite. He's that young. He's the older veteran presence. You got PCA on the team. You got all types of guys that haven't been around. I mean, not really a ton of young rookies or anything like that, but he's just that Cubs veteran presence. Swanson's been in the league forever. Bush been in the league for a while. Most of these guys have, but they're not those like Cub lifers like Ian Happ is. Ian Happ's only been in one jersey, and it's that Chicago Cubs jersey. But Cubbies, 10 games remaining right now. We're 88-64. We're only 4.5 games back of the Brewers, but they are playing right now. So let's actually take a look real quick. Because we still got some time, man. 10 games left, 4 back. I mean, Brewers would have to lose a bunch of those games, but you know baseball, man. Anything's really possible, to be honest with you. So Cubbies won. Padres and Mets are playing right now, and we'll talk a little bit about them because that's going to be either those two teams. If we stay in the wild card spot, we're going to be playing the Padres or we're going to be playing the Mets, and they so happen to be playing each other this week. Brewers right now, they're up 6-2 on the Angels. Probably expect them to get that W. And you see right here, we're trailing 4.5. It'll be 5 if the Brewers win today. So basically 5 games back, 10 games left. They got to lose like half the games. We got to win all of our games. And we actually have the tiebreaker as well against the Brewers. So if the Cubbies can somehow squeak it up, Brewers are winning right now, so they should be probably 5 games up on us by the end of the night, but there'll be 10 games left. We're 5 games back. We own the tiebreaker against the Brewers, so I'm not saying we're going to win the division, but I'm also not saying that it's completely out of reach. And we'll see who are they playing, because Cubbies right now for the next, 10 games, we got the Reds coming in. Reds pretty much 500 ball the majority of the season. We've beat them most of the times when we played. So we got the Reds, then we got the Mets, which that'll be a pretty somewhat big series, and then the Cardinals. So we got way more to play for than the Reds and the Cardinals, even though the Reds technically are still, I believe, in the race. But so we got Rhea, Imanaga, Tyone, Horton. That should be the wins. Come on, man. We got this locked up in the books. So we're in the playoffs. Let's see who the Brewers got, though. And all I care about is making it. I get it. I want to win the division, but as long as we're in, you have a chance. And you see right away, Quintana on the IL. Things starting to go a little bit south up north in Milwaukee. And they have, let's see what so we got the Reds, the Mets, and the Cardinals. The Brewers have the Reds, the Mets. Oh, did I click the same team? Yeah, I'm like, what? They have the same people as us. How does that even make sense? All right, so we started over. We got the Reds, we got the Cardinals and the Mets, and then the Brewers are finishing off with Cardinals, Padres, Reds. So very similar. We'll see what happens. You never know. It's baseball. Things can go wrong. Things can go right. Every team just wants to make it in. So you also don't know what are the Brewers going to do. Are they going to fight for that division? Probably, because they've been leading it so long and momentum itself could fall back the other way. But let's take a look at the playoff picture, man. Let's see if I could get this pulled up. I got to make myself a little smaller. Make my little box here. Pause. All right, so we see this is the playoff picture, guys. So if the playoffs started today, basically this is what it'll look like. In the AL, you'd have the Red Sox squeaking in against the Mariners, Astros, and Yankees, which those have been some great entertaining series the last, 5 or 6 years. The Tigers getting a bye, the Blue Jays get a bye. Then what matters? The National League side, guys. If today everything held up, and it looks like most likely, just given the leads and given all the sizes, you take a look what the standings look like. Brewers are up 5 games on us, so they're most likely in that spot. Phillies have that secured. They got that second. So it's going to be pretty much Phillies and either Brewers or the Cubbies getting that bye. Then you see the wild card. Cubs have a pretty big lead over the Padres and the Mets. And the Mets right now, they're still up below. So most likely this is going to be what it is right here, guys. So Mets and Dodgers on the other side with the Phillies with the bye. And then opening round, wild card round at Wrigley Field, you got the Padres would be coming in to play the Chicago Cubs. And then whoever wins that goes on to face the Milwaukee Brewers. So I know name-wise, people probably see Padres like, yo, Padres are so good, blah, 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 blah. Cubbies have the series beat against them. Padres kind of reeling. Cubbies also have the series, like I said, we own the tiebreaker over the Brewers. So I'm really not that scared. I'm pretty excited to see this bracket come out. I'm not really worried about any of these teams until if and when we got to face either the Dodgers or the Phillies. I think the Brewers, as good as they are, we obviously know them very well. They've had some pitching start to go down. And they've also just won a ton of like one-run games. They've won a ton of games relying on just singles, doubles, which obviously that wins you in the postseason, but you also are going to lose a lot of games if you can never get like a 1-3 run homer, like a 2-run bomb here, 2-run bomb there. They play a lot more of that, nick it down, hit the ball, get him over to another base. And eventually, as we're seeing now, they have one of the best records, but they went on like a crazy hot streak where this record got super inflated. We've been catching up. They've had some injuries start to go down. So Cubbies versus Padres, that'll be one hell of a opening round series. And I do really believe from the bottom of my heart, Chicago Cubbies can pull that out. What's going to really come down to it for us is just going to be like anybody else. Can we get hot at the right time? Can pitching also start producing at the right time? Obviously, we lost Justin Steele way earlier, way before the season, all that. But we're down one. Matthew Boyd's looked a little bit shaky recently. He didn't look too good today, pulled out early after having 4 earned runs. So you're going to rely on Imanaga, going to rely on rookie Cade Horton, who's barely pitched more than like 5 innings at all in his start. So it'll be interesting to see as well, what are the Cubs going to do with that? Is Cade Horton going to be opened up? Are they going to let him pitch, let him do his thing? Or are they going to kind of still have those training wheels on him where he's not going to just be open out there to just pitch and do whatever he wants? But definitely some big names, big series. And you got to remember as well, the wild card round's only a 3-game series. So basically whoever wins 2 out of 3 gets to advance. You don't have a lot of time to settle in, mess up here, have a game there like you do in a 7-game series where maybe you fumble a game or 2, but you can still pull back in. You fumble a game or 2 here, you're basically going home because Padres or Cubbies, they only got to win 2. I still like the Cubbies, especially given the fact that they're going to be in Chicago if this is the matchup. It's going to be probably a little bit windy. It's going to be really early, so the Padres will be coming all the way from the West Coast, so they're going to be playing at a different time zone. They're obviously used to playing in that California weather, even though San Diego isn't necessarily the hottest place like Los Angeles, but it's definitely not Chicago Cubs. It's definitely not Wrigley. And that's the thing, too. Cubbies, we're used to hitting at Wrigley, one of the hardest stadiums to hit at, where the Padres will be coming in from the visiting side. So still a lot to play out for the rest of the season. But right now, guys, most importantly, Cubbies, we clinched the wild card spot, guys. First time since 2020 that the Cubbies will be seeing the postseason dance. And you always just got to make it in there, man. Cubs in the playoffs, it feels good. I haven't had, like, the Bears haven't made the playoffs since, I think, 2010 or something, or haven't had a win since 2010. The Bulls, they make the play-in game every year. But the Cubbies, guys, is a little differ around here. And you see, they had some little flickers. Let's see where the flicks at. Where the flicks at? Oh, they put the flicks away. They bogus. Got to go on next. ESPN ruining the vibes right here. It's exciting, though, man. I'm going to try to get out to a game. I'm waiting to see what that looks like. This is actually pretty crazy. This is low-key wild. Like, where do they buy these? So Cubs players who will be playing in October for the first time are rocking lederhosen after the clinch. So some Oktoberfest type of deal. And this is actually a funny-ass picture. Like, where do you even get this? I don't know. Maybe Amazon. Like, they all look funny as hell. PCA looks tiny, which is so funny. You got Alcantara back here chilling. And you just tell whoever got the green one, he must have, they didn't get it in there on time. Sorry, the order came in late. Matt Shaw literally looks like this is probably what he should be wearing. I mean, who looks the funniest? I don't know. Shota looks hilarious. They all look pretty damn funny, though. I'm not going to lie. But they're back in the playoffs, baby. First time since 2020. Reason to celebrate. Hate us because they ain't us. I know what it feels like. Cubs, clinch, playoffs. Come on, boys. We in the playoff. We in the playoff. Oh, this is actually a crazy one right here. So hear me out. From Nick Shapkowski. Hear me out. The year we lose Rhino, so Ryan Sandberg, the Cubbies clinch a playoff spot in Pittsburgh, take on San Diego in a playoff series, then beat Detroit eventually to win it all the way that 84 should have gone. Dang, Padres in 3. It's funny to read all these people that just be getting mad as hell. This makes you want to party. Vibes are high. Cubs winners of their last 4 clinched the playoffs. They're now 88 wins with 10 games left to go. We got the 4th best record right now in the MLB. We scrolling. They see me scrolling. They hating. Cubs. Gonna catch me riding dirty. I look like a Cubs nerd, too. I got the Cubs sweater, got the Cubs hat, got the Cubs blanket, got the Wrigley Field sign back there. We're going crazy. This Cubs crazy. This is what I live for. Cubs clinch. Never you know. Just the motto going around all over the place right here. Hey, October, what do you say? The Cubs are gonna clinch today. We in that mug. PCA bigger hell. Shota, Kyle. They still got Kyle up there. Kyle, he's still out a little bit. We're good. We go. Ian Happ, the Pittsburgh kid, with the final out to send the Cubs to the playoffs. Look how empty Pittsburgh is, too. Just sad. Being a Pittsburgh Pirates fan's got to be a lot like being a Cubs fan because they just suck all the time. I mean, not Cubs fan, a Bears fan. That's how you. I'm in the weeds right now. The little slow-mo. Oh, play on. Let's go. Anything is possible. That's a cool thing sometimes about baseball is that they celebrate literally after every round. Dang, look at that. They're getting reckless. Oh. Hey. The goggles, the champagne. That's to be sick, though. Then you see Pittsburgh. They probably hear them the other side like, damn, bro. Skiing. It's probably like, when am I ever going to make the playoffs? 8-4 W today. First playoff since 2020. They should have celebrations like this for the fans. They should have opened up Wrigley. We would have teed up. With the shirt off in there, that's so funny. It's always like some older guy, too. You know, he's psyched up. A little bit of everything today, though, man. Shout out to the Cubbies, though. Just big W's today, clinching that playoff spot. First time since 2020 is the craziest part to me. These are some of the flickies. Look at that. With the Budweiser, too. Oh, it's got to be fun. This is kind of wild right here. It's a wild flick right here. I don't know what's happening, but I guess when you make the playoffs, you just do what you got to do. That Prosecco. These shirts are kind of raw, though. This October baseball shirt. I might have to get my hands on one of those. But this picture right here, low-key, a little bit crazy. Give me a Chris Bosh, Miami Heat. We all remember that photo. I'm not going to reenact it. Shout out to the Cubbies. They having a good time. Justin Turner, the vet, PCA, the young guy. And then I think this is Palencia, right? Kind of wilding out a little bit right here, though. Giving me them Chris Bosh, Miami Heat vibes. Crazy. But Cubbies in the playoffs, first time since 2020. Sometimes I guess you get a little reckless. You forget the cameras are there. You forget this picture's going to happen. PCA again in there. You got Shota right here. Let's go, man. I'm excited, though. Cubbies, Padres most likely in the first round. Then once we get to the World Series. World Series? What's going to happen, huh? What's going to happen? Tell me. Oh, let's see if we can hear that Pat Hughes call.
C Park for the moment. And the 3-2. Fly ball to left. This is going to do it. Ian Happ is there, and the Cubs are in the playoffs. Let's go. The Cubs are going to be a postseason team here in 2025. And the celebration will begin. It's kind of subdued at the moment. Players on the field congratulating one another. The other Cubs kind of respectful of the guys in the.
Yeah, we're talking about that on the marquee broadcast today too. Like, hey, they seem a little bit subdued, a little bit chill. I'm like, yeah, they're gonna wait till they get to the back. Where they didn't win the World Series, they're gonna run and jump into each other's arms today. But great stuff from the Cubbies there. Then let's a little bit into the latest injuries. That took way too long, but I was like, I'm going to talk for 5 minutes. No, Cubbies made the playoffs for the first time in 5 years. That deserves probably an hour. I gave you guys like 20 minutes right off the top for the Cubbies. So let's move into the next part. Not going to take as long, I promise you. So we're going to go into the Cubs injury report right now, guys. So latest injury, this is as of today at 10:37 a.m. So Kyle Tucker right now still has that left calf strain. He went on the IL. It was like, September 9th. So it's been about 8 days or so. Expected to return mid to late September, whatever that means, because it's already mid-September. He's still not here. But he did travel to Tampa today with a member of the Cubs medical staff. He's going to be going to a physical therapy group that he saw when he was with the Houston Astros. So they're hoping he can return for the final homestand, which would be in about a week from today. And the crazy part is the offense has kind of been heated up without him. I mean, I don't know if it's a little less pressure for everybody else somehow, but Ballesteros has been going crazy. Justin Turner had some hits today. It seems like other people are picking up the pieces. Michael Busch has been hitting good, Ian Happ. So Kyle Tucker's still not very sure when he's going to be back. What's he going to look like when he gets back? Are they going to put him in right away? Like if the team's kind of doing its thing already, do you want to mess that up? I think you kind of got to risk it just because a lot of these guys don't have at least his replacements, I guess, like, Willie Castro. Why did I just blank out? Willie Castro, Ballesteros, if he's out there, Owen Cassie, which is also concussed right now. But these other guys, not a lot of experience. So you might still see Tucker when he gets back. Then Daniel Palencia. So he's still suffering from that right shoulder strain. He's been on the 15-day IL, started back September 8th, so 9 days ago or so. No timetable right now on his expected return, but he is going to be going to AAA Iowa following the finale after today. So he's probably already on his way to meet up with that team, and he's expected to have his first rehab appearance September 20th. So very important for us. I mean, he was struggling a little bit those last couple of weeks before he went on the IL. It seemed like everybody started hitting his fastball, which is usually not a good sign. And he was having pretty much like a breakout season, I would say, for the Cubbies. So Kyle Tucker, still not sure when he's going to be back, but he's doing his rehab thing. They're hoping by the 23rd. Daniel Palencia, really no timetable right now. They're going to see what he looks like after the 20th, which is supposed to be his first rehab appearance. And then catcher, man, who seems like he's just been in and out a lot of the season, and it sucked. Right when he got back, he got hurt again. But Miguel Amaya with that left ankle sprain, he's been on the IL since August 14th. Also doesn't have an estimated return date. Not right. He says he's not at 100% yet, but he is, he started yesterday at DH in Iowa, and they're hoping he could transition to catching duties later this week. So it'll be interesting to see, especially with Miguel Amaya, how much can he really contribute in the playoffs. He was killing at the beginning of the year, got hurt, came back, got hurt again. So realistically, I don't know what are they going to really play him that much. Carson Kelly's had a pretty good year. Whether they use Ballesteros or if they want him Reese McGuire, who knows what they're going to do on that part. And it's a little bit, I think they probably will be scared as well. Like, are we going to play Amaya? He could get hurt, maybe extended injury into the later part, into the postseason, as well as into the the off season. I was like the after season. I couldn't even think of that. Into the off season. So Miguel Amaya, we need him, man, in the long run. I think that's why they might not rush him back this year. We'll see how we're looking. Maybe if we make it out of the wild card, then fuck it. They bring him back in divisional series. And I really think we need him, man. I know a lot of people like Carson Kelly. I'm just not aboard the Carson Kelly train. I feel like he has some good stats. He had a lot of really, really good moments in the beginning of the year. But when I see him in some of those pressure situations, I don't like some of the takes he has. I don't like just some of his approach sometimes at the bat. Like, I'm like, bro, not to press like when you're up and we need runs, but he takes so many borderline calls, even when there's 2 strikes, and it drives me crazy. And I feel like he has that mentality of like, I'm behind the base. They didn't give us that strike. I mean, come on, I'm behind the plate. Come on, Blue. And I'm like, bro, rip the bat. We need to get the bat off your fucking shoulders sometimes. Then probably a little bit less urgent, but just for the future, Owen Cassie had that concussion. He ran off the Wrigley Field brick wall in right center after making a catch earlier this week, or what? Not this week, like Saturday, I think it was. So he's still on the IL, no return date yet. So right now we're looking at pretty much, we don't know much right now, guys. Kyle Tucker, no estimated return yet. Daniel Palencia, same thing. Miguel Amaya, same thing. I mean, if you got to pick two out of these guys that we need, I would probably say Tucker and Palencia. So we'll see what happens, but got to stay hopeful, hope for luck. And when you get into the postseason, that's really what you need. Heat up at the right time and get lucky at the right time. And we got the talent. I'm a little worried maybe about the pitching just because there's nobody that's like a solidified, been in the postseason. He's already got the pressure. So that's a good thing too, is with the Cubs, it really could go both ways. First time for a lot of these pitchers. Well, Matthew Boyd's been in, I believe, in the playoffs before, but Cade Horton obviously hasn't. Shota Imanaga hasn't. And that's on the starting side. And then a lot of these guys that we picked up were people that weren't even in the league for a year or two. So even Palencia, he's never been in this position before. So for me, I'm like, let's get Palencia back. Let's get all of these guys back. If we could get everybody in, that's our best chance, because in the playoffs, you need a big mixture. You need somebody to come up at the right time. You never know who it's going to be. You never know when they're going to be needed. But hopefully these guys can make it back, and we'll see what happens once we get into that dance. All righty. Then lastly today, actually a pretty crazy today in Cubs history. So today is September 17th, 2025. It's a Wednesday. So right now I'm going to talk about something that happened on September 17th, 1953. So this is a pretty crazy one right here, guys. Let me move myself over again. All of this time and all of this money. Make this a little more centered. I'll just make myself a little smaller. All right, y'all. So on today in Cubs history, September 17, 1953, Ernie B. Banks. So today in Cubs history, September 17th, 1953, Ernie Banks becomes the first black player for the Chicago Cubs, and second baseman Gene Baker joined him only a few days later. So 53 plus 25, what is that? That's 78. Yeah, right? 78 years ago, which is crazy to think about. I don't know how that even is that long ago, but 78 years ago, Ernie Banks became the first black player for the Chicago Cubs. So obviously, I guess it's a great accomplishment for him, of course, but it's also crazy that this was even something that had to happen, that these guys were not allowed to play in the best leagues, that they were even, obviously I'm historic. I know things that have happened throughout history. I'm historic, but I pay attention to history, but it's sad, pathetic, crazy, whatever you want to call it. But the good part is they overcame it. And on this day, September 17th, 1953, Ernie Banks becomes the first black player to play for the Chicago Cubs. The crazy part, though, is that Gene Baker joined him a few days later, but Gene Baker was actually the first black player to make it onto the Chicago Cubs roster, but he actually suffered an injury before he could make his debut. And by the time he was healthy again, Ernie Banks had become the first black player to appear in a game for the Cubbies. So these two guys right here, they'll be etched in history forever. Two great Cubbies that play, well, not necessarily great. Ernie Banks was great. But it's very interesting when you take a look at it. Historically speaking, insane to think about that 50s, only 78 years ago, that they weren't allowed to play in the same leagues. But then the story behind it is crazy. So Ernie Banks became the first black player for the Cubs to actually play in the game, but Gene Baker was the first black player to ever make it on the Cubs roster. And Gene Baker would have been the first black player to play on the Chicago Cubs, but he got hurt. And by the time he got healthy, Ernie Banks had already became the first black player to play for the Chicago Cubs. So Banks had actually been signed primarily to be Baker's roommate. And this created a problem for the Cubs because they had two shortstops. They chose to move Baker over to second base because he was the older, more experienced guy. They thought he'd be able to adjust to the position better. And Banks and Baker actually were the first black double play combination in the majors in September 1953. And a lot of the rumors say that Baker actually taught Ernie Banks a lot of what he knew about playing shortstop, since Baker was 6 years older. So I never knew this, guys. I mean, I knew obviously Ernie Banks was the first black player for the Cubs, but I didn't know the whole story behind it. I didn't even know that Gene Baker played for the Cubs, who he was. And it was a little bit sad even trying to go on Google and find images of them. There's not a lot of them. The best one I could find was this kind of like recolored version from Getty Images. So that's why you see the watermarker there, guys. I have nothing to do with Getty Images. But today, September 17th in Cubs history, 1953, Ernie Banks becomes the first black player to play for the Chicago Cubs. And then the second black player, Gene Baker, joins him a few days later. And the crazy thing is, that Gene Baker was the first black player to ever be on the Cubs roster, but he got hurt. And during that time, Ernie Banks became the first black player to actually play for the Chicago Cubs. And they together, Baker and Banks, they became the first black double play combination in the majors in September 1953. So 2 historical players for the Chicago Cubs. And it speaks volumes to how much has changed in the world, how much we still have to go, how much farther we got to go to make things better for everybody. But 78 years ago, these 2 guys, or Ernie Banks makes history. And in September 1953, they both make history. So September 1953, a crazy time to be alive. I can't even imagine what these guys had to go through coming up into the Major League Baseball. It's pretty insane. But these hats are pretty sick. The jerseys are pretty sick. It's wild to see them wearing like these collared shirts underneath. I don't understand the uniform significance of that. But drop a comment. Let me know if you guys even knew that. I had no idea that Ernie Banks and Gene Baker were the first black double play combination in the majors, and that happened in September 1953. And Gene Baker should have been the first black player to play for the Chicago Cubs, but he got hurt. Ernie Banks was healthy, and Ernie Banks became the first black player to play for the Chicago Cubs on this day, September 17th, 1953. So let me know if you guys heard about that, because I didn't. It's not something, I don't think they brought it up on the broadcast today. And you think about stuff like that, it's pretty fucked up when they're just like, hide it under the rug, guys. Come on, let's not bring that up. And I get it, whoever it is, they're probably uncomfortable, but realistically, you got to face history, guys. It's not comfortable. It's not fun to talk about, but it is what it is. And we're only going to learn to be better if we can actually look at stuff like this that's happened, learn from it, grow from it. And it's crazy to see that that's happening, man. But thanks for coming through, guys. I love doing these Cubs historical type of trivia. And this one's like how do you feel about it? Like, it's cool that he became the first black player. They became that first all black, middle infield unit that turned a double play. But it's also pretty sad that it took that long for them to be able to play. And that, it's not even talked about right now. It's not something that's being put out there by the team. And it's a little bit sad, where you wish they would talk about it, would celebrate it, give more kids, young kids, that idea like, hey, man, this is what happened. Learn history, learn everything. But thanks for coming through, guys. Remember, we're here on the Entertainment Channel talking all things sports from a Chicago sports fan perspective, where I'm going to keep it real with you, but I also got some knowledge about the game. I'm not going to be completely like, Cubbies, everything, we're going to win. Oh, my fucking God, we had everything in the book. Because I know the truth, guys. It takes time to win. It takes time to build a champion. And we'll see what the Cubbies could do this year, guys. So Cubbies clinch a playoff spot for the first time since 2020. We don't know when Kyle Tucker's coming back. We don't know when Palencia's coming back. We definitely don't know when Miguel Amaya's coming back. And today in Cubs history, Ernie Banks becomes the first black player to ever play for the Chicago Cubs. And then him and Gene Baker later on this month in 1953, they become the first black double play duo up the middle infield for the Chicago Cubs and in the MLB, guys. So let me know what you guys think. Any feedback helps, positive, negative, whatever it takes. And remember, like, comment, share, subscribe, because we're growing the Ant Farm. And when you're on the Entertainment Channel, guys, you got to remember, go crazy. Don't be lazy. And don't be doing nothing fugazi. Deuces.